Teofimo Lopez tonight, taking on Jermaine Ortiz. Now, Ortiz is a good fighter.
Yeah, he is.
He has the talent. They fought a couple times at the nationals, national amateur level. That's a high level. They both got there. Now I put this out there on the chat yesterday when I was talking. I like Teo. I think Teo's a tremendous fighter. I remember seeing him years ago. Let's go pre-COVID, pre-Lomachenko. Unbelievably talented. And I remember telling my brother, saying, this guy's got moves and combinations I have never seen. And he can fight. This guy can flat out fight. So he fights. He gets in, beats Lomachenko, loses to Kambosos, comes back. I still think he's talented. There is something about this buildup. I don't know what it is. There's something off. I don't know how you feel about it. It just, to me, seems like he's over the top, almost like when I would see like Roy Jones rapping to the ring. And I always thought, or you see someone, when Holyfield was fighting Lennox Lewis, he was a little too animated. I'm thinking something's just not right. When Ronda Rousey got real agitated with Holly Holm, it's not right. Something's off. I don't know.
So what do you think he's going to lose? Do you think there's a good shot that he loses?
I think there's a shot he might lose, but there just seems like there's something off. I don't know if you got that vibe. I just thought there was something off. On his interviews with you guys, he was over animated. He was overly talking religious. I don't know. It just seemed different to me. Something was just off. Did you get the vibe? You were talking to him.
Yeah, we did. They broke the interview that we did up in a couple of parts because we talked to him for over an hour. I wrote down a quote. I just happened to write this down, but Teofimo said, "I'm the big clown of the sport of boxing." And I'm like, you know what? He said this at the presser, I think, the other day. When he talks, he is all over the place. And and when we interviewed him, I saw a lot of people writing like, "You guys didn't ask the hard questions." Well, first of all, it's not 60 minutes. Second of all, like ProBox, we're trying to get fighters to come on. So you don't want to be combative and say, "Hey, Teo, some people say you're a racist. Are you?" I did ask him that before but they're not like hard hitting interviews. But Teo, you're like, what is he talking about, man? But I think he loves to talk. He's like Paulie Malignaggi, man. Those two. And plus, when we do these interviews, like I'm usually doing an interview with Chris, Paulie, and the fighters. So it's hard to, like, Paulie has a tendency to, it'll take him, 2 minutes to ask a question, but Teo,
about Paulie real quick before we go. When I met Paulie,
and I love Paulie,
totally different. He was more reserved. I thought he was going to be, he was very reserved. I was like, oh, again, we were at Taddy Atlas's dinner, so it's kind of all people knew each other.
Right.
Very reserved, more reserved than I thought, which was what shocked me. Him and Chris are two great guys too, by the way.
Yeah. So I don't get that sense. I know what you're saying about Teo. I take when he talks like that, to me, I'm like, you know what? It's like I take it with a grain of salt. I think before the Taylor fight, he had a lot of issues with his dad, and a lot of people thought he wasn't focused because, they're doing interviews and his dad was involved and he was having squabbles with his father. And
I did get that too. I got that impression. I said, uh-oh.
But then he was masterful in that fight. And then, of course, people say, oh, Taylor was shot. That's first thing they say you're a hater or someone shot. Okay. So I see why you get that sense. I don't like Teo. I think he loves to promote, man. He loves to say things that are going to have people talking. You said you're Puerto Rican, right?
Yes.
So, he said in the interview, I think he said it a couple of places, he said, man, Puerto Ricans, because he was talking about Subriel Matias. He said, he's easy, man. He's one-dimensional. He's easy. He said, these Puerto Rican fighters can't beat me. And he went on and he was talking about Puerto Rican fighters and how easy they are to beat the fighters today. He just says things to rile people up. And most people, they buy it hook, line, and sinker. So the proof is going to be in the pudding. Like, we're going to see tonight if he's focused. I think he is going to I think he's focused because he hasn't been in some fights. He has to be tonight because he's fighting a guy who can fight.
So he could definitely fight.
If he's
Yeah.
not focused, he'll walk out of the ring an ex-champion. So,
And I didn't realize the size difference. He is
yeah,
actually Jermaine Ortiz is a little bit bigger than I thought he was.
yeah,
I
he
was
is.
surprised. I was surprised at that. And
He
he
is.
didn't look drained. He didn't look drained, which I
Well,
was
he
like, "Ooh."
shouldn't be because he was moving up from 135. So you would think that Ortiz, like neither guy, they're not big 140 pounders. So they both made the weight. I see why you say how you feel about something could be off. I don't get that sense,
Okay.
but he's a wild card, man. You never you he even said I'm a wild. He said people you never know what you're gonna get when you watch me fight, and
And that's
you
what I
know
mean. I'd like to get, if he was a little like almost like he looked really good against this guy, but then really okay on this guy. And he has got the talent. He has talent for days. It's almost
yeah,
like he fights down to his opposition. And when it's a
that's
big
the
fight, he
thing,
fights up. I
right?
don't think he didn't fight well with Kambosos, but at the end he came on, dropped him, and I thought it maybe might have pulled it off. But the first couple rounds, I mean, it started off really bad for him.
Thanks for watching the Zapata Brand podcast. Please subscribe to the podcast and listen where all podcasts are available.